Joining me on Exploring the Block is Timo Lejas, the co-founder of the Swarm Fund. Welcome, Timo.
Thank you.
All right, tell me about the Swarm Fund.
Yeah, so Swarm Fund is a market infrastructure for high-value financial assets. So basically, we built a blockchain solution that allows people to create tokens that represent ownership of underlying financial assets.
And so what does the name have significance? Because when I think of a swarm, I think of a swarm of bees.
Yeah, that's correct. So the whole idea is to create something that's decentralized by nature. So which means that if you're going to own, let's say you have 100 people that want to own a high-value asset together without going through a centralized entity like a bank, for example, then how do you create like a system by which they can make decisions together and co-own this asset, together without actually using a third party that they're dependent on. So we solve that, and so the whole Swarm concept is about community ownership and community governance. So we created like a governance structure by which a whole lot of people can co-own something and make the decisions together.
Oh, interesting. So talk a little bit more about that. I mean, so what problem exactly did you identify that inspired you to create this fund?
Well, it's a couple of different problems. The main ones are access to good investment opportunities as well as liquidity for private equity assets. So the first one with regards to access, I was a fund manager before, and I was looking at all these institutional investors that had like all these great investment opportunities available to them. And then, whereas the rest of the investor community had like no way to access these investments. So when Philip and I, my co-founder, we looked at that market and said, what if we use the blockchain to open up all these investment opportunities to more of like a retail audience of investors and also provide global access, like cross-border access from, let's say, Asia into the US and the other way around. So that's that was like the access problem that we were solving. And then the other one is like, if you think about the blockchain as a market infrastructure that allows you to kind of trade things and create liquidity for ownerships of different assets, then that's going to basically grow as a global infrastructure now, so that once you buy something in the US, let's say it's a fractional ownership of real estate, that will be traded on a global marketplace.
Wow. And did you say this was the first to launch in this field?
Yeah, so we were the first security token blockchain to launch. So we launched in January this year, and
that's a big deal.
Been growing since.
What's your implementation strategy?
Yeah, so that was a big part of it. Was like a lot of these blockchain companies. There's a lot of like white papers and talk about what they're going to do, and we just decided to ship product very early. So as a result, we were the first security token blockchain that came out. And then, from that, we were just focusing on growing the community, the global community, and then serving them with things that would make sense for them to invest in. So that was really our implementation strategy.
And where are you now, and what's in the near future?
So right now we have about 35,000 investors across 60 countries or so. And so that's on the demand side of things, and that community is growing on a weekly basis. And then on the fund side, or on the investment opportunity side, we have 8 live investments today. And that's kind of one of the big growth areas going forward, just kind of, with such a big global community, there's like a lot of funds and investment opportunities that we can introduce to serve them better.
That's exciting. So Timo, tell me, a Swarm Fund encompasses a very wide variety of investment opportunities. Elaborate a little bit more what's out there and available to potential investors.
Right. So specifically, we saw that real estate is always a big category in investing. It's very popular in general. So that was kind of a no-brainer. That was one of the first ones that we came out with. And then after that, we went into tech funds, specifically late-stage tech funds that invest in like big names in Silicon Valley. And then there's also kind of a impact investment category on Swarm. So a lot of the people that we found in the community around Swarm were interested in supporting various causes. So they basically, we created a couple of funds together with fund managers that are focused on microfinancing to farmers in Africa, or redeveloping properties in Puerto Rico that were destroyed, in the hurricane, things like that. So, very clear impact focus. And then also we're doing a couple of funds in the crypto space, so to speak. So these are like really geeky things where you can buy into something that's called master nodes. It's one of the funds that we're doing, as well as there's a crypto hedge fund that's being launched on Swarm now as well. So,
gosh, so much happening.
Yeah.
So you have been growing rapidly in both users and investment vehicles. Can you address a little bit what Swarm is doing to expand your offerings to meet the needs of all these users?
Yeah, so now I think it's really hard to do this in isolation or by yourself. So there's a couple of different aspects of that. One is like the geographical span of what we're trying to do. Already with a global user base, we expanded to a more strong presence in Europe right now. So we're based in the Bay Area as a headquarter, but now we also expanded to another office in Berlin. So that's kind of our next growth area. And then we have another plan to grow into Asia as well. So we just see that we need to cover all the key markets. So that's what's coming up next. And then also, not having to do all of this by ourselves, but actually working actively with a partner development strategy so that we partner up with the right companies, depending on what the ecosystem needs.
Sure. Where can we find more information?
So you can find Swarm at www.swarm.fund.
Fantastic, Timo. Thank you so much for joining us on Exploring the Block, and we look forward to many updates from the Swarm Fund.
Of course. Thank you.
All right, and thank you for watching.